Ever feel like you're losing a little piece of yourself in your relationships? Well, today, we're going to dive into why that happens and, more importantly, how to build connections that feel real and strong without having to sacrifice who you are. Let's get into it. You know that feeling, right? That unsettling feeling where you're not quite sure where you end and your partner begins. Maybe you find yourself getting triggered by the same old things, or you just automatically give up on what you need just to keep the peace. It's an incredibly common experience. And you know what? It's usually a huge signal that something deeper is going on. So all those frustrations that keep popping up in your relationships, the same arguments, that feeling of distance, the anxiety, they're not random. And the simple phrase right here holds the entire key. Our outer world is just a mirror. It's a direct reflection of what's happening on the inside. So if we want to change the reflection, we have to look at the source. To really, truly understand what's happening on the outside in our relationships, we've got to start by mapping out the territory on the inside. This is where we find the roots of our patterns, and it's the only place we're going to find the key to changing them for good. A really powerful map for this inner world is a model called Internal Family Systems, or IFS for short. Now, it suggests our minds aren't just one single thing, but they're actually made up of all these different parts. And this is so important. These parts aren't flaws. They're actually good parts of us that got forced into extreme roles by things that happened in our lives, all in a desperate attempt to protect us. Let's make this really concrete. Do any of these sound familiar? The perfectionist part that works overtime so nobody can possibly find fault with you. Or that angry part that just flares up to scream, "Hey, I matter." Or what about the numbing part that makes you grab your phone to escape a tense moment? Or, oh yeah, that relentless inner critic. These are your protectors, and they are all working with the best of intentions to keep you safe. So how do these protector parts actually do their job? Well, we often call their strategies defense mechanisms, and you can see a few of the big ones right here. Projection, for example, is a part that takes your feelings and puts them onto your partner. Rationalization is a part that creates these super plausible excuses to justify a behavior. They're all well-intentioned, but honestly, they're often just outdated strategies for survival. Okay, so we've got this inner system of protectors. But how does that actually translate into that frustrating back and forth, that dance we so often have with our partners? Well, it all starts with the blueprint for connection that we developed a long, long time ago. It really starts with our attachment style. From our very first relationships as kids, our brain creates this subconscious blueprint, an internal working model that just runs in the background of all our adult connections. And this blueprint is what activates our protectors when we feel a core fear, like being abandoned or being suffocated. And we can see the two most common insecure patterns laid out right here. On one side, you've got anxious attachment. Its core fear is abandonment, so the strategy is to pursue and cling. But on the other side, you have avoidant attachment. Its core fear is being swallowed up, so its strategy is to create distance. See how they're just two sides of the same coin? Both are simply attempts by our protectors to keep our deepest fears from coming true. So how do we break these cycles? Is it even possible? Yes. The key skill, the absolute game changer, is called differentiation of self. Think of it as the holy grail of relational health. It's the ability to hold on to yourself, your thoughts, your feelings, while staying close and connected to someone else. It is the ultimate balance. And here's that core conflict in action. On the left, we've got fusion, where all the boundaries are blurry. It's that feeling of, I need you to be okay so I can be okay. It's where the I gets totally lost in the we. Now compare that to differentiation on the right. I can be here with you in your feelings and still have my own. This is where real intimacy begins because it's where two whole people are choosing to connect. So what does it look like when our protectors, driven by all that fusion and fear, totally take over a conversation? Well, the brilliant relationship researcher John Gottman calls them the four horsemen. Criticism attacks someone's character. Contempt is just plain mean. Defensiveness is all about playing the victim. And stonewalling, that's just shutting down completely. These are giant red flags that your protectors are in the driver's seat. Okay, so we've mapped the problem pretty well. Now for the good part, the solution. How do we get our protectors to just relax a little bit so we can lead from a place of our own strength, our own wisdom, and our own connection? Well, according to IFS, beneath all those frantic protective parts, every single one of us has a core self. And when we can access it, it has these incredible qualities, known as the 8 C's. Just take a second and read through them. Imagine showing up to a tough conversation feeling calm, curious, and compassionate instead of angry and reactive. This isn't something you have to go out and create. It's your birthright. This is the inner leader we're trying to reconnect with. And the number one tool to access that core self is self-compassion. It's simply about turning toward our own pain with kindness instead of judgment. Why is this so crucial? Because self-criticism and shame are the fuel that keeps our protectors on high alert. Self-compassion is what finally helps them feel safe enough to take a step back. So, when we start leading from that place of self-compassion, we can finally start building the structures for a healthy relationship. And the number one tool for that is learning how to set boundaries, not build walls. Now, this is so important because the core difference between a boundary and a wall comes down to just one thing: your intention. A healthy boundary is designed to preserve the connection. It's about protecting your own well-being so you can keep showing up. A wall, on the other hand, is a reactive defense. It's built from fear or anger, and its intention is to punish or push someone away. The energy behind them is completely different. Okay, but how do you actually communicate a boundary like that? This framework, which is based on nonviolent communication, is an absolute game changer. It's a simple 4-step recipe. You state a neutral observation, you express your feeling, you connect it to your unmet need, and then you make a clear request. And here's what that 4-step process sounds like in the real world. Just notice there's no blame, no "you're always late." Instead, it's a clear, calm statement. The observation is just about the time. The feeling, frustration, is owned. The need is for consideration, and the request is a simple, respectful question. This is how you build trust, one conversation at a time. If there's only one thing you take away from all of this, please let it be this. We spend so much time chasing connection with other people, hoping they will be the ones to make us feel whole. But the real work, the path to the deep, authentic connection we all crave is always, always an inside job. It can only begin when we turn inward and build that connection with ourselves first. So before we finish up, just take a moment and ask yourself this question. Which part of you is listening right now? Is it a curious part? A skeptical one? Is it your inner critic looking for flaws? Or maybe, just maybe, you can feel a little bit of that calm, core self listening in. Just noticing. That's the first step. This is really just the beginning. True transformation happens when we move from just understanding this stuff in our heads to having a deep, felt experience of it in our hearts. If you are ready to stop losing yourself and start building your giant potential, I really want to invite you to explore the Sum Gigante program. You can start your journey today at my12journeys.com.